Hi, everyone. So I'm Lois, and I am the Global Challenge Coordinator here at Hello Tomorrow. And I'm very happy to welcome you today to this Ask Me Anything session, which is focusing on the Global Challenge. So the idea is really just to go over the key information, the eligibility criteria, the timeline, what you get out of it, all those main things. And also we have the pleasure, of course, of having Gary Ong, who is the founder and CEO of Celadyne Technologies, who participated last year and will be sharing his own experiences. The main part, of course, is going to be the question and answer. So this is the time when you'll get to ask all of your questions to us about the challenge, but also questions for Gary about his experience. So yeah, just looking forward to having you here and to hearing all of your questions. Now, as we continue with the presentation, definitely don't hesitate to explore the right-hand panel of your Livestorm. You'll see there are two really important tabs. The first is the chat tab. This is where you can interact with each other and with us. There's also the question tab that's really critical, so you can post all your questions there throughout the presentation for myself and for Gary, and also vote for the ones that you think are the most relevant, because we'll be going by order of popularity. We'll go through those most popular ones first and then go through the rest later. So here we go. Let's get started. I know some of you that are connected today, maybe this is the first time you're hearing about Hello Tomorrow, about the Global Challenge. So I'm going to do that quick overview I mentioned. So Hello Tomorrow has actually been running the challenge since 2014. And our Global Challenge, it is a deep tech startup competition. This year is our 7th edition of this Global Challenge. And our goal has been always the same from the beginning, which is to help support specifically early stage startups that are developing breakthrough solutions. So we're not limited to any type of industry or any type of technology. We're actually covering all of them, from aerospace to environment to healthcare. And you can see on actually the right-hand side of this slide all the different tracks that we have this year. There's 10 of them, and you can apply to any of these tracks. If you are confused or don't find yourself in one, just feel free to contact us and we'll help you along the way. If you've gone on our website, I'm sure you might have also seen that we have an additional corporate track, which is sponsored by Bayer Crop Science. Now, this track is for any startup that's working in the field of sustainable innovation for agriculture. And what this means is that basically you just have an additional chance to pitch during the Bayer Crop Science final. And there's no additional application necessary. It's the same application you complete for the Global Challenge. You just need to go ahead and tick a box there. So for the other eligibility criteria, as I said, it is a deep tech startup competition, so we're definitely looking at the level of your technology. So whether it's a product or a service, it should be still based on a new technology, scientific discovery, or a complex engineering process. And you definitely need to show that all on your application. We're also looking to welcome very early stage startups. So what does this mean for us? It means that basically they can be projects who are not yet incorporated, up to those startups who have raised their maximum Series A funding round. So if you're just looking to raise your early funding stages, if you're looking to secure your first clients, this is definitely a great fit for you. And if you're just a recent spinoff from university, you can also still apply. And the last final eligibility criteria is impact. This is really important. We're looking for solutions that have a positive impact on an entire industry, on society as a whole, or on the environment. Now, just going to move on through the application timeline, so you were well aware of what to expect. Obviously, applications are currently open and will be closing on June 18th. So that's less than 3 weeks away. It seems like a long time, but trust me, it'll go by quickly, and you'll want to get that started as soon as possible. Once the applications close, we will start the evaluations of those applications, and the deep tech pioneers that we will select will be notified on September at the latest. And I guess you're probably wondering, what are deep tech pioneers? Who are they? This is the term that we call for the startups basically that we select, those who have fulfilled the criteria and those who we consider to be really among the top in their industry, in their category. Um, and so these deep tech pioneers, they access a lot of really great benefits that we provide to startups. So first, they get access to Investor Day, they get free tickets to our global summit. They also have all year access to a host of other perks like visibility for their fundraising in our investor network. We offer them some points of connection with other industry leaders, accelerators, and important actors in our ecosystem. We give them visibility for job opportunities they have. So lots of just perks for visibility and connections throughout the year. Then out of those selected deep tech pioneers, we will be selecting, of course, the finalists in October. There will be a total of about 60 finalists. So that's going to be 6 finalists for each of the 10 tracks that you saw earlier. And they will be announced on October 12th. And these are the finalists who will actually be moving on to pitching on the stage at the Global Summit, which is taking place physically this year on December 2nd and 3rd in Paris. And of course, just the day before, we're also hosting a physical Investor Day where startups will be invited, the deep tech pioneers will be invited to meet with our investor network. There will be about 200 plus VCs and CVCs will be attending strictly to meet one-to-one with these deep tech pioneers. So those are the main points of time to keep in mind. And I've already gone through quite a few of the perks that we're offering the startups who we select, but these are the 3 big vital opportunities really to keep in mind. As I said, connections is one of the main points we offer. We have a really vast and relevant network of investors, of industry leaders, some experts and fellow deep tech startups, also accelerators, universities, etc., that come from all over the globe. So it's a very international network. And as a deep tech pioneer, you'll be able to meet some of these actors during our global summits. The global summit is basically our annual event where we gather all of these deep tech actors and allow them opportunities to connect and network. But in addition to the summit, you'll also have the opportunity to connect with them all year round because we will be here supporting you and helping you with those connections. Also, of course, for the track winners, the 10 track winners that we select, they will get actually customized coaching sessions by our experts, combined with some personal and targeted introductions with relevant investors and potential partners and clients. So yeah, lots of opportunity for connections. So this will definitely, hopefully lead you to some business and funding opportunities, but also, maybe help you grow your team. One of our previous participants actually met their CEO at the Global Summit. So that's one expectation you can hope to have perhaps. The next thing that we do like to offer startups we select is, of course, global visibility. So first and foremost, as a selected deep tech pioneer, this basically sends a signal to our international community that you've been selected at the top of your industry across the world. So it's an international competition. So that's really an important point to share with them. And also, of course, during the summit, actually the finalists who will be selected will get to obviously pitch on stage. And then other deep tech pioneers will also have the opportunity to showcase in front of a select audience of investors and industry leaders. There's also obviously opportunities for media coverage. Some of our past winners, after their pitch, they actually had several publications done about them. And throughout the year, we're also open to, reaching out to you to include you in some of the reports that we're publishing. We do publish occasional reports with our partner, the Boston Consulting Group, and we also invite some of our future, some of our past winners or participants to speak at future events. And last but not least, of course, there's the financial perks. This is definitely very important. So we do have 3 winning prizes. All of it is equity free, no strings attached. So we have a grand prize of 100,000 euros. Then we have a second and third prize. The second prize is at 30,000 and the third prize at 20,000. But even if you don't win, there's definitely other opportunities. Those are not the main perks only. You, as a deep tech pioneer, you'll also have access to other funding opportunities through, as I mentioned, the Investor Day, which again, it's one-to-one meetings with investors. There's going to be about more than 200 of them. They'll be from really renowned VCs and CVCs. And also you'll have the opportunity to share with us any of your open fundraising opportunities at any time in the year, and we'll be sharing those with our investor network. So that's a whole boatload of perks, and I'm happy to go into more detail in the questions later. Yeah, but before we dive into that, I really just want to take this opportunity to welcome Gary Ong, the founder and CEO of Celadyne Technologies. As I mentioned, he participated in the challenge last year and actually succeeded into being selected as a finalist, and then went on to win in his track. So really happy to have you here. Gary, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. Happy to be here. Let me know how I can be useful.
Yeah, great. It's really happy to see you again, and I mean it's still in a virtual stage, but it's a good setting nonetheless. So I guess first of all, just wondering, what is Celadyne? What do you do? Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Of course. Yeah, so Celadyne is an advanced materials company. We work in the hydrogen space, and the whole point is that we make better membranes and catalyst materials so that we can make hydrogen devices like fuel cells and electrolyzers better, more efficient, smaller.
Great. And so you're currently based in the US. What are your ongoing plans, I guess, the next steps for Celadyne at the moment?
So right now we're in like deep technical development mode.
Okay.
We just recently like secured additional grant funding as well as like private funding since participating in Hello Tomorrow, and so now
Awesome.
it's basically spending the money to get more technical progress and then building out the team. It's basically a cycle going from there.
That's
And
really amazing. Great. Yeah, I'm glad to hear all the progress that you've had since participating in the challenge. But I guess first things first, I just wanted to hear about, what was the maturity stage actually of Celadyne when you first applied to the challenge? I know that was, I think, about 2 years ago. Yeah, how young or how early were you at that time?
Quite.
Yeah.
I believe the company was founded in 2018, and I believe when I applied,
Oh, wow.
actually applied to Hello Tomorrow was 2019, right? We didn't actually pitch until 2020. So, it was a 1-year-old company, and we had more than an idea because the company came out of my PhD. So we have some data and so forth, but we didn't have partners. I mean, we had the science figured out. We have some kind of engineering proof, and definitely didn't have a team yet. And I guess that was it. So it's very, very new. It was basically just me and my co-founder, and that's it.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, I think I knew you were quite early, but there's a lot of details there that I didn't know. So it's great to hear, and I'm sure most of the really early stage ones that are listening will be encouraged by that. And yeah, I mean, so like I said, you did go on to becoming a finalist and pitching last year. It was a very special context because, COVID.
Yeah.
And so in the end, you had to pitch on a virtual stage. So that's quite particular and specific. It'll be very different to our summit this year, which will be physical in
Yep.
Paris. But in any case, can you tell us about your experience then, I guess? Which contacts you made, what kind of opportunities and visibility you got. Yeah, anything you got out of that experience.
Of course. The pitch session was good, right? I think yeah, I was really excited to be able to go to Paris. Had all planned out. I was like, yes, I'm finally gonna be able to go to Paris. I've actually never been to France yet before. So, anyways, as an aside, right? So I think the pitch coaching was incredibly useful. So I'm pretty sure I won in most part because I had a really good pitch coach. Give credit where credit's due.
Wow.
Yeah, and then in terms of connections, I think one of the most valuable things I got from Hello Tomorrow was actually connections, particularly to CVCs, because that's a whole different group in and of itself. Like you can kind of like get connections to general VCs and so forth, and most people will hear your pitch and so forth. But CVCs, it's a different kind of beast. And just from Hello Tomorrow, we ended up getting contacted by I think about 9 or 10 CVCs in my space. Hello Tomorrow was especially useful because like one of the ones that we wanted to get in touch with was like BSF, and they're based in Germany. Really hard to get in touch with them if you're based in the US. Not impossible, but they came to us as a result of the event, so that's always better. So yeah, since then, we've had like ongoing conversations and so forth, and yeah, if nothing else, it helped kickstart that process.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing that. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely your experience was particular as it was a virtual context, but the physical one is that much more valuable, I believe, for the startups. So I guess just one last question for me, at least. Yeah, if you have any advice for startups that are considering applying, maybe especially the early stage ones, because that's something that you can really share your experience about. What would you say, and maybe just tips on completing the application?
So with the when I was completing the application, it was it was interesting, right? So as an early stage startup, some of the questions you're kind of like, well, I don't really have a team yet, but I will have a team soon, right? So I guess because you're early stage, one of the strategy I approached the application with was basically just be in some ways kind of really honest about where you are, but be very detailed in like where you think you're going to be or where you want to be. So like give you an example, right? So when I applied in 2019 to Hello Tomorrow, it was just me and my co-founder. Since applying to Hello Tomorrow, and then literally the following March, right when I was supposed to pitch to Hello Tomorrow, I was a team of five. I was a team of five, and we had just gotten $1 million in funding. So it's in the normal nature of a startup that like the growth can be very sporadic.
Mm-hmm.
So just be really honest and very clear about where you want to be, and you even if you're early stage, you can be competitive, and I guess in my case win your track, and so it's encouraging in that sense, right? It I would say applies still if you're early stage. In terms of the actual pitch, my number one advice: make your story. Um, Not just clear and compelling, but I maybe this is just me. Um, I like I like stories that are also inspiring in some way, because at the end of the day, the way I see it is like, it's not just it's on one end it's like, sure, you might win and so forth, but you have a stage to tell your story, and part of the people who will be listening to your pitch are other people who are thinking about starting companies, or um or have started companies, and just want to know that there are others like them that are really still trying to do this super difficult thing called deep tech, right? And it helps to share those stories, basically. Keep everyone basically energized and motivated.
That's really wonderful advice, and I definitely echo all of that. The inspiration part is important for the pitch, and yeah, completing the application to the best of your ability is also just as important. So, I mean, we'll still keep you online because obviously, if there's people connected now that would like to ask you questions specifically, they can do so. Again, for those connected, you can go to the questions tab on the right-hand panel and ask Gary any questions you might have. But before we dive into that, on the note of making sure your application is complete, I want to go over our selection criteria. So actually, first and foremost, one important thing to really note about the Global Challenge application form is that this is the only thing that the jury members will be looking at when they evaluate your startup. This is really important to include all the really important information right at the get-go, and to make sure that you position your startup in the best possible way to be selected. Of course, so in a
Oh no.
Hi, I think I'm back. Can you hear me, Gary?
You are back, yes.
Okay. Oh, sorry about that. So yeah, just going again into the selection criteria. So in addition to the eligibility, we do have selection criteria. This is what the jury members will be using to evaluate your applications. There's 4 of them, and they're all weighted equally. So the first one is technological innovation. So once again, it's a deep tech startup competition. So definitely that's the main thing we're looking at, is the technological innovation. So not just a business innovation, but how innovative is your technology. So of course, you can demonstrate that by providing a detailed description of your technology, but that alone is not enough. You also need to have external proof that kind of validate the novelty of your technology and how realistic it is. So some examples of proofs you could provide would be patents, publications, KPIs, and all those other things. I know it can be difficult for early stage, but there's definitely ways to incorporate any kind of external validation you have. Second important criteria is impact. We've already said this, or I've said it already once, but important to stress on. We definitely look at startups that are aiming to have a positive impact on an industry or society as large. So it doesn't have to be affecting the entire world, but it definitely should be a technology solution that has an impact at a relatively large scale. So that's important to show in your application. The third thing we evaluate is economic viability. So here again, we'll be looking to see that the market you're targeting is sufficiently large, that you have a relevant and convincing business plan, and that you have clear competitive advantages. So of course, this will vary depending on your maturity. We understand that. So the information you provide will vary depending on how early you are or how much you've already launched into the market. But even if you haven't commercialized or you don't even have your prototype, it's still possible to include some content in here. All we need to know is that you've identified a market and that you know how to address that. So yeah, please make sure to include some indicators to show that. And last but not least, we also look at the makeup of your team. So just an important point of clarification, you do need to be at least 2 people in your team to apply. And then on the application, we ask for more information. So we ask for information specifically about the founders and the key team members. The things that you would need to include in your application are a short description, a CV or a resume of that person, and also the LinkedIn profile. And your goal here is to show us that your team or the network that you have has complementary expertise. So that's expertise in the science or technical areas, but also expertise in the industry or in business. And then, of course, showing that you have the experience to back that up. And so those are the 4 selection criteria. I thought it was really important to just go over because it'll help guide you as you complete the application. Make sure that you do address all those 4 points because it'll give you, again, the best chance to be selected. And that's it from my side. So I'm happy to jump into all the questions. Again, if you haven't already, please feel free to ask them on the question tab. Vote for the ones that you would like to be addressed first. I'm going to go ahead and explore that area. Okay, well, we have a first question for you already, Gary. So why are you particularly interested in CVCs? What are the advantages that you see compared to traditional VCs?
I think of CVCs as double value. So it's not just like the money that's important. In the case of a deep tech company like mine, I care a lot about particular engineering expertise. So in my case, for instance, like I had mentioned, I believe BSF, they have actually commercialized a product that we're trying to solve the same problem we were solving, but incomplete, right? So because of that, there was a lot of experience in there. In terms of like scale up and manufacturing and just kind of lessons learned of things not to do, right? And in part, the CVC part was useful because then it's kind of like you get them to invest in your company and you get the money, which is basically kind of a buy-in. But more importantly, I care more about the knowledge and the expertise that came from the corporate side of that VC.
Okay, great. Thanks, Gary, for sharing your insights on that. If you have follow-up questions, please feel free. So there was another question again for you, quite popular. So this one is asking about who is your pitching coach. I can probably add into that as well.
Ooh, I don't remember his name, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But do we
No
have
problem. Yeah, I mean, I don't have the specific name because basically just to let everyone know what happens is when you're selected as a finalist, we actually at Hello Tomorrow help connect you with individuals in our network. So they can be some investors, they can be some industry experts that we connect you with to help you with your pitch coaching. So this is something that we provide, and Gary met this pitch coach through us essentially.
Okay, so I found him, but I'm
Oh,
not sure
okay.
if I'm supposed to share his info here.
Yeah, I think we'll keep it just confidential as of now.
Yeah,
Just yeah.
exactly. I think
Thank you though. Okay, just going through. Let me see the most voted ones. Okay, yeah, so this one's for me. How selective is the application process? How many applications are received versus how many deep tech pioneers are selected? Yeah, it's hard to, I guess, give a really definite number, but so we have, last year we had about 5,000 applications received. And this year, I mean, it could be around the same amount as well. And out of those, we selected 800 deep tech pioneers. So that just gives you a bit of an idea. And again, you know, no matter how many applications we receive this year, I mean, obviously it has to be based on quality, but our goal is to select about 700 startups out of those applications. And so next question from Scott Massey, thank you. So is there truly no cost to attend? What if we win the award? Zero equity, no strings attached. So the cost to attend. So attending the Global Summit, the tickets are completely free. We won't be covering the travel because unfortunately it would be a lot for, you know, the 700 startups we select. But the Global Summit itself is completely free. The access to Investor Day, that is available at purchase, but it's at a discounted price if it's your first year applying to the Global Challenge and the first year being selected as a deep tech pioneer. And as far as the awards, yes, that is 100% zero equity, and we don't take any stake in your company, or there's no obligation to that award amount. From Maria, so she's asking, are there any restrictions on what location you're incorporated to apply? So we don't have any geographical restrictions. We accept applications from all across the world. No issues there. Let's see, if we qualify for multiple tracks, how do we pick one? Can we apply to multiple? So you cannot apply to multiple tracks. So Gary, actually, it's a good example from Celadyne because so their technology could have maybe gone into energy or environment. So you have to select the track which you feel most, you know, that you would have the best chance of winning. If at any point we feel that you might be a better fit in a different track, then we will go ahead and suggest that to you. And then, yeah, just move you on if you agree. But really, it's, you know, it's your choice. And again, you have to choose the track that you feel you have the better chance in. I don't know if you have other things to add about that, Gary, why you chose the environment track as opposed to.
I think it was the logic that went in my head was basically because my like general space was like hydrogen. I saw it as like, okay, so it's not just for energy, right? You can use it for chemical manufacturing and so fertilizer manufacturing and so forth. And so I was like, okay, the broader track seemed to make more sense for that narrative.
Okay.
That's why.
Great. Good point. So yeah, and if you obviously have a specific question pertaining to your startup, then you can always just send me a message. I'll share with you my email at the end of this presentation. So next question. So if we've been selected as a deep tech pioneer, we do not need to apply again specifically for the Global Challenge. So this depends. So we did make a small change to our application platform. If you were selected as a deep tech pioneer in the last year, you still have to complete the Global Challenge application. And if you're selected this year, you just need to let me know that you would like to apply for the Global Challenge as well. But just to clarify, it is only one application. And if you apply right now, you will be applying for both opportunities. So you'll be applying to participate in the Global Challenge, and you'll also be applying to become a deep tech pioneer, all in the same. I hope that's clear. What if a company does an A round between selection and event? So this is not a problem technically because we will, again, be basing our evaluation strictly on what you submit on the application form. If we expect, obviously, for some startups to have, you know, development in the time period because our timeline is a bit long, but that won't affect the results, whether you're selected as a finalist or invited to pitch at the event. let's see here. Just making sure I don't miss anything. Okay. Is there a max of funding a company can have to apply? So amount of funding, we don't have a specific amount because definitely can vary according to the industry. Maybe an aeronautic startup would have a larger Series A compared to some other startups. So no specific amount, but a Series A is funding round is the maximum that we would be accepting for the Global Challenge. Next up, what is, let's see, no, I've done that. Yeah, what is the cost for the first year, with or without the first year of, for Investor Day, with or without the discount? The cost of Investor Day, so unfortunately, I don't have the exact prices for you at the moment, but this is definitely something that we'll be releasing well in advance prior to the dates. Once you're selected as a Deep Tech Pioneer, we'll be letting you know that you have access to the Global Summit for free and that you'll be able to access the Investor Day and releasing those prices when it comes. We have, I'm not sure if we have last year's prices, but again, that was for a virtual event on the website, so it might not be as relevant. So definitely just wait for our information closer to the date, so we'll be able to give that to you. So if we've been selected, no, okay, I've done that as well. Trying to find one as well for you. If there's anything for Gary, yeah, feel free to ask if you have questions for Gary as he's still online. Are the prizes per track or for the whole competition? If it's the latter, how do you compare applications from different tracks since they are so different? So the winning prizes, so the financial prizes, are actually for the whole competition. So meaning we have 10 track winners. So those 10 track winners, what they win is actually the personalized coaching from our experts, plus the targeted introductions with either relevant investors or with potential clients or partners. So that's what the 10 track winners win. And then out of those 10 winners, we will be selecting the three winning prizes. So the grand winner and the second prize and the third prize. So for those, it's true that they're quite different. So what we really look for is something Gary already mentioned is because you'll be evaluated by all of the jury members who have very different expertise. What you'll need to focus on is to make sure that you show how your problem is really addressing, how your solution is really addressing the problem that you've set out to tackle, and showing the visionary element of it, how large the impact is. Those are the main points to focus on. But yes, you will be compared across the 10 different categories. Yeah, and I guess for you, Gary, did you have something else to add about that? How did it feel competing with startups that are, say in healthcare or mobility or something? How did you decide to set yourself apart?
I think it's actually less not as random as it would seem. At least when I participated, right? You first compete within your track,
Mm-hmm.
so it's not like when in the narrowing down, like I was pitching and then the person right after me was like a biotech company, right? That was not the case. Like the person pitching after me was like I believe was a CO2 reduction kind of concrete type company.
Okay, yeah.
Environment. So the judges in terms of comparisons, it's quite good in terms of like making sure things are. It's not like you're trying to compare an aerospace company to a hydrogen company. I think the only part where that constraints released is in the very final pitch where you're trying
Yes,
to
in the
get
final.
the prize as well as the second and third prize, right? And I think at that point of the pitch, it's almost like it's you're the focus changes a little bit, right? Now you're selling the vision of the world you're trying to realize, and so the selection criteria changes there a little bit.
Okay.
But it's not like at the onset you're like, how am I ever going to be able to compete with the company that's trying to cure cancer?
Mm-hmm.
No, that's not the situation here.
Yeah. Thank you for that, Gary. So yeah, just to clarify again, obviously, so you're competing first in your track. So trying to be the best within that category. And then in the end, it's about the vision, and yeah, picking the really, really top ones out of all the different tracks. Great. So there was another question. Oh, yes. So from Taufik, is there a recording of Gary's pitch from last year and other winning pitches? Yes, there are. We have them on our LinkedIn, I believe, and also on our YouTube channel. So you can go ahead and click on those and see what their pitches were like. Gary's pitch was really great, and that's probably one of definitely the big points aside from the technology that got him to where he's at today for the challenge. Great. Let's see. So quite a few. I don't want to miss anyone. Okay, yes. And yes, this session is being recorded as we speak. So all those who are attending now, you should have a link afterwards. And all those who couldn't attend will also be able to view it. Oops. Is there a difference between the Investor Day and the Global Summits? Are these one and the same? No, they are totally different. So the Investor Day, which is happening on December 1st, still here in Paris, is really focused on one-to-one meetings, B2B meetings between deep tech pioneers and investors. We're inviting about 200, over 200 actually, VCs and CVCs attending.
Seems that we lost Lois. So sorry. So I'm jumping in. So I'm Thomas. I'm working with Lois in charge of the startup and investor community at Hello Tomorrow. So on the investor day, so yeah, it's the full day of one-to-one meetings. So you have 2 weeks in advance access to the app with the list of all the investors participating. You can filter them, by focus on geography, on industry, on technologies, and then you can contact them and ask for meetings. And so you create your agenda ahead of time, and during the day, just have like 2 big rooms full of tables with all the investors, and you meet all the investors with pre-planned meetings. And in between meetings, you can always go and see the investors are interested to you, and just give them business card and have like a quick chat. Sorry, Lois, you're back. I just covered for the...
Yeah, I'm back. No problem. So yeah, thanks for jumping in and explaining Investor Day. That was really clear. And for the Global Summit, these are the days when the finalists who've been selected will be pitching on stage. And also the deep tech pioneers who've opted to do a showcase, they will be showcasing during these 2 days at the Global Summit. And during the Global Summit, so it's definitely a different feel, because it's not just meetings. There will be opportunities to meet with the different attendees, which also will be including investors, industry leaders, etc. But it is also 2 days of getting inspired by different technology. You'll get to hear some keynotes, some really practical, founders insight sessions, investors insights, these really, practical sessions for you, which might be really helpful. Okay, let's try to see as well the other questions. So from Sahida, you're asking if, can I get your contact, my contact, and reach out to me about the global challenge? Yes, definitely. Like I said, I'll show you my contact information just at the end of the application. But if you have a pen handy now, it's lois.patan, P-A-A-T-A-N @hellotomorrow.org. So yeah, definitely feel free to reach out. I'm happy to talk over email or even do a quick call. Does the startup need to be registered, and how many years can the startup be registered? Can a startup who was registered 10 years back apply? So we've never really put a specific limitation on how early the startup was registered. I would say that, again, the importance here is that you are still in the early stages, that you're still looking to raise your early stages of funding. You haven't raised the Series A, and that you that you still need support to gain your first clients, that you still need support for visibility across your sector, your industry, or across other industries. So yeah, no problem for that case. But Jacob, if you do want to reach out to me directly as well, you can definitely let me know by email. Is the event strictly in English, or can you pitch in other languages? Example, in French. So the event is, because it's international, we're accepting, you know, startups and individuals, other actors who are attending the summit from all over the world. It has to be in English. So unfortunately, we would not be able to accept pitches in French. If we are a startup in AI tech, to create a solution to reduce energy consumption and CO2 emissions in industry, which is the right track for us? Yeah, I think that's a bit particular, but I guess for me, because you are focusing mostly on energy and CO2 emissions, I would suggest the first, which is energy and environment. Anyway, so my colleague Thomas, who's replying now, will give you a bit more information. So for the data and I track, we really are just mostly looking for AI technology that is covering several industries and not just one particular industry. Great. So Julianne, you are asking any visibility about whether or not the event will be held in person or online. So we are 100% committed at this point to a physical event. That is the goal. December 2nd and 3rd, a physical event in Paris. Of course, we're not naive. We know that the situation can change. We don't know what will happen by the end of the year. And if the situation does change and we're limited to having, a smaller event or even a virtual event, then we will definitely adjust and let you know in advance if we decide to go with a virtual event or if we decide to postpone it to a later date. This is something that is important because we definitely want to prioritize the safety of all the participants, and we don't want to put anyone at risk of any health issues. Selected. Okay. So are the public pitches occurring in December or October? And so yes, the pitches that will be happening on stage will be happening in December during the Global Summit in Paris. So that's on December 2nd and 3rd. If you're selected as a finalist, again, we select 6 finalists for each of the 10 tracks. We'll be inviting you to come to Paris if it's available to you and to pitch on stage. Great. Can Canadian startups apply? Yes, definitely. Again, there's no geographical limitation. Anyone can apply from anywhere in the world. So Dash is asking, we've developed machine learning technology that is currently pending patent idea submission. This means we cannot explain the technical details at this stage. Will this impact our ability to compete in the application? So it's true that we obviously need some information about your technology to be able to evaluate it. We understand that if you have really, really sensitive information, that you might not want to include that in your application. But I guess my best advice would be to include as much as possible. And because, again, this is the only thing we'll be looking at before we make the decision to keep you and as a deep tech pioneer or as a finalist. So Dash, definitely feel free to reach out to me, maybe more in specific and explain your situation. But again, it's really important to include already some aspects of your technology on the application, and also showing the external validation you have, the fact that it's patent pending. This could be promising as well for us, and it's a good signal that you have external validation. There's other ways to show that, whether it's in the technology description or in the KPIs, any other traction that you've shown. But yeah, still, it's important to have kind of idea of the details of your technology. So feel free to reach out to me and we can see how to address that, Dash. Do Australian applicants fall under the Aipac challenge? Hi, Taufik. Yes, so we haven't really discussed this, but we do have an Asia Pacific challenge. Basically, it's still the same application as the global challenge. It just means that if you're coming from the Asian Pacific region, you can apply for an additional chance to pitch and additional opportunities. with our local team in Singapore, who's running the Asia Pacific Challenge. And we do accept, indeed, Australian startups in this APAC Challenge. If you want to know which other countries apply, this is also available on our website. And I think we're coming to about the end. I think I might have come across most. If we haven't addressed your questions just yet, please go ahead and just send me an email, and we'll be able to talk about that directly, especially if you have specific questions that are really particular to your startup. Feel free to send me an email. We can exchange by email or do a quick call. And again, the applications are closing really soon, so it's less than 3 weeks on June 18th. Please don't wait until the last minute, because it's really important. I mean, the most successful ones are the ones that really look at the application ahead of time and review all the questions, and complete it to the best availability, and revisit it as necessary. So please do start your applications soon. And also, if you don't want to miss any of our news, we do have the core newsletter. So this link, you can find a link to subscribe on our website. And basically, once you subscribe to that core newsletter, you'll get access to all of our updates. So we send a lot of really good content, upcoming sessions we have that is dedicated to how to fundraise a startup, how to grow your startup, things of this nature. But also we share really practical content. Some of our articles are in-depth reports that we've published with different actors like the BCG, and also really important resources like the mappings we've done for our investors and open innovation initiatives from corporates. So lots of content for you. Again, I encourage you to subscribe to the core. Again, the link is on our website. And that's pretty much it for today. Happy to receive any of your messages later on. And yeah, Gary, I guess just before we all sign off, just want to hear from you. If you have any last words of advice for startups or encouragement, please go ahead.
Just apply. If you don't apply, then you never know. It's kind of like you got to take every shot you get, right? Apply. What's the worst case that can happen? Like you don't get in, I guess. But like if you don't apply, then you already didn't get in, right? So apply.
That's great words. Thanks so much for that. Again, thank you, Gary, for joining. Thank you, everyone, for the great questions, and best of luck with your applications. Goodbye.